Today's topic is solution of first order PDE. So in the previous lectures, we studied about the formation of PDE, that is how to create PDE, how they are created, how they are made. So we have studied that topic. Now, once we have the PDEs, different types of PDEs. So the next question is how to solve that PDE, how to get the solution of that PDE. So we have different kinds of PDEs. It depends, the methods depend on the type of PDE we have to find the solution. So for which we need to know what is the first type of PDE that we are going to solve. So in our first type, where the PD is of first order, means in this topic we have to solve the first order PD. The degree may be anything, means it may be 1 degree PD or higher degree PD. So degree does not matter in this topic, in this method. So first order PD, that means the PD, the partial differential equation, which includes the first order derivatives only. And we know the first order derivatives del z over del x and del z over del y. They are denoted by small p and small q respectively. So in this topic, in this methodology, in this process, we have the first order PD. So whatever the equation which will be given to us to solve, it will include only the first order derivatives del z over del x, del z over del y, and we know these are only two first order derivatives. Other are the higher order derivatives. So z is function, means dependent variable, then its first order derivative is either del z over del x or del z over del y. So any differential equation, any partial differential equation which includes these two derivatives, without knowing the degree, we are not concerned about the degree because it may be first degree equation or higher degree equation. So the general form of first order PDE will be like this: equation 1, the capital F function, which may include x, y, z, and the first order derivatives pq. So this equation may be anything which includes p and q as derivatives, either p or q or both, uh, and not more than not more than these first order derivatives, means RST. It will not include RST, the second order derivatives or higher order derivatives. So it can include only the first order derivatives. So this type of equation we have to solve, the first order PD. So this is general form, means everything we have to shift to the one side. So that one side equation will be represented by capital F. If suppose this is our first order PDE which we have to solve, there this x, y are independent variables, z is dependent variable, and small p, small q are the first order derivatives with respect to x and y respectively. So before solving this PDE, we have to know the solutions type, means what are the different solutions. Mm, what is complete solution, what is general solution, what is particular solution, what is singular solution. So the basic definitions of different types of solutions. The first type of solution is known as complete solution or complete integral. So any relation, this is the definition, any relation of the form which contains, this form contains x, y, z, arbitrary constants a and b, is equal to 0. This type of relation, this type of equation is known as complete solution of the equation 1, means first order PDE equation 1. And this The equation was capital F, and the solution we are denoting it by small f. Small f is not arbitrary function, it is simply a combination, means it indicates that it contains x, y, z, a, b. So any form of these which includes these variables and these two arbitrary constant is equal to 0 is known as our complete solution. A and b are two arbitrary constants, and z is dependent variable, x and y are independent. So we know that solution of PDE, any differential equation, is an equation which is free from derivatives. So this is free from derivatives, and in the place of derivatives, it includes the arbitrary constants a and b. Because we are solving the first order PDE, so its complete solution will include only two arbitrary constants a and b. So of course this equation must satisfy the given PDE, the given equation 1. So this is our equation, means this is our first order PDE, and this is our solution. So again, the solution, what is solution? Solution is solution of any differential equation is the relation between dependent variable and independent variable, which in satisfies the given differential equation. So that is solution. Now complete solution, which includes, means first it has to satisfy the given differential equation, and second it must include the arbitrary constants, and those constants must be two in numbers, because this is first order PDE. So if you remember our last topic, last lecture, uh, uh, this was given to us, means in the formation of PDE, if you remember, this was the question. This was the question equation um, which we were given with, and we have to find out the corresponding PDE, the partial differential equation. So what we did, this arbitrary constants a and b, we have to eliminate these two arbitrary constants from its derivatives. So we have to differentiate it with respect to x, with respect to y, and anyhow we have to eliminate arbitrary constant from these equations to get the PDE. So it was reverse process. We were given with this solution, and with this solution we have to find this PDE. So now we have to find the solution of partial differential. So it is reverse process. We have the differential equation, the partial differential equation. Now we have to find out this solution. So solution methodology, solution strategy is based on the type of PD available. So here we have started with first order PD. Otherwise in the examination you will find a simple question, solve this PD. So you have to identify which type of PD is there, because based on that only you can apply the available methods. So in our first topic we have single method. We will discuss it after some minutes, but otherwise if we have different type of PD other than first order PD, we have different methods, we have other methods. So we need to recognize the PD, the type of PD. So it is first order PD. We are now we are getting the methods. We are just in process to know how to solve first order PD. So complete solution, I hope you know now what is complete solution. Solution of any differential equation is the relation between dependent variable and independent variable which satisfies the given differential equation, and any solution which includes two arbitrary constants in it is called complete solution of equation 1, first order PD equation 1. So this is our complete solution. Now general solution or general integral, we use both terms frequently, the general solution or general integral, both are same. So now any relation of the form, again I want to make you remember about the previous lectures. We have formulated the PDE with two concepts, by eliminating the arbitrary constants and by eliminating the arbitrary functions. So here also the last complete solution was by which includes arbitrary constants, and the general solution which includes the arbitrary functions. So the complete solution is the solution which includes arbitrary constant, and general solution is the solution which includes arbitrary function in it and also satisfies the given differential equation. So what is the exact definition? Any relation of the form arbitrary function of uv is equal to 0, where phi is an arbitrary function of specific given functions u and v. U and v are known functions and satisfies the given equation 1, means the first order PDE equation 1. So this solution is known as general integral or general solution of PDE equation 1. So here a u and v are known functions of x, y, z. So any solution which includes arbitrary constant is the complete solution, and any solution which includes the arbitrary function is the general solution. Next, particular solution. So particular solution is the solution which can be obtained by complete solution or by the general solution. If we give particular values to these arbitrary constant a and b, then the solution obtained is known as particular solution. Also, if we assign some particular values to this particular function, this arbitrary function phi, then the solution obtained is known as particular solution. So it can be, the particular solution can be obtained by either complete solution or by the general solution. So this is the definition: the solution obtained by determining arbitrary constants in the complete solution or arbitrary functions in the general solution by using some specific conditions is called particular integral or particular solution of PDE equation. If you remember the case in the ordinary differential equation, sometimes you were asked that find the solution of this differential equation given that y0, suppose y0 is equal to 1. That means you have to find that solution which satisfies particular condition y0 is equal to 1. That means when x is 0, y is 1. So that solution is obtained by general solution by applying this condition on that general solution. Same concept is here also. The particular solution which can be obtained by the arbitrary constants in the complete solution or by finding the arbitrary function in the general solution. So how to find the values of arbitrary constant or arbitrary function is by the specific condition. So if you are asked that find the particular solution, so you will be given one condition, one or two conditions with the question that find the solution of this partial differential equation given that suppose z01 is equal to -10. That means at x is equal to 0, y is equal to and y is equal to 1, z is -10. So we have to find out particular solution out of the all available solutions. So one condition or two condition would be given to you to find the particular solution. So particular solution is obtained by either it is obtained either by the general solution or the complete solution. Now singular solution, singular integral or singular solution, both are same terms. Some authors use singular integral, some says singular solution. So the terms are frequently used, singular integral or singular solution. Now what is singular solution? Again, because it is very much connected with the previous some previous topics, so I hope you remember the envelope topic, the envelope of a family of surfaces. Okay, I revise it. The definition: the envelope of a family of surfaces is the single surface or single curve which touches every member of that family. I repeat, envelope of a family of surfaces is the single curve or single surface which touches every member of the family. So this is a definition only. Otherwise, the process how to find out the envelope of a family of surfaces is that, suppose this is the family of surfaces. So the arbitrary constants are a and b. So we have three equation. F is equal to 0, the family of surfaces. The differentiation of that family with respect to a is equal to 0, and differentiation of that family with respect to second arbitrary constant equal to 0. And anyhow we have to find out a curve or any equation by eliminating a and b from these three equations. So if the elimination is possible, means if we get one equation out of these three equations which is free from a and b, that is known as envelope. And if that envelope exists, it is known as singular solution. So if you are asked to find out the singular solution of any partial differential equation, then first you need to get the complete solution, because the family of surfaces is the complete integral of the partial differential equation. So first you need to calculate the complete integral, means f of x, y, z, a, b is equal to 0. We know this is our complete solution. Then you need to differentiate it with respect to a is equal to 0, one equation. Differentiate the complete solution by with respect to b is equal to 0, second equation, and the given complete solution. Now we have to eliminate, we have to find out one equation which is free from a and b out of these three equations. If this exists, then this is known as singular solution. So singular solution is the envelope of a family of surfaces. Okay, the equation of the envelope of a family of surfaces representing the complete integral of a given PDE is called singular solution. So for any PDE we know the complete solution, and for complete solution the equation of envelope of this complete solution is called the singular solution. But this is possible when the elimination is possible. So we have two remarks here. A singular solution may or may not exist for any PDE. Means it is not always that you have to find out the singular solution of any of the PDE. A singular solution may exist or may not exist. So for this we need to know this the elimination process. If elimination is possible, means if we are fortunate to find one equation which is free from a and b from out of these three equations, then the singular solution exists. So for every PDE the singular solution may not exist. For some it exists, otherwise it does not exist. And the singular solution cannot be obtained from the complete integral by assigning some values to a and b. Means by assigning some values to a and b we find out the particular solution, not the singular solution. Okay, so these are two remarks. A singular solution may or may not exist for any PDE, and it cannot be obtained by a complete solution by assigning some particular values to a and b. What is the process? If the singular solution exists, then we have to follow the process of differentiating the complete solution with respect to a with respect to b. Then we have to eliminate a and b. So we'll see in the questions what is singular solution if it exists for any PDE. Now, so we are dealing with first order PDE in this topic. Now till now we have not considered the degree of that PDE, but now we are considering it. Linear PDE. So what is linear PDE? A PDE is said to be linear after normalization and cleared of fractions. Uh, I told you that what is the degree of PDE? Order is the highest order derivative in that equation. means what is the maximum time we have differentiated the dependent variable, that is order. But what is the degree? Degree is the highest power of highest order derivative in that equation when it is free from fractional and radicals powers of the dependent variable and the derivatives. So if the dependent variable and all its derivatives are free from radicals and fractional powers, then only we can decide the degree of PDE. I repeat, degree of partial differential equation or degree of any differential equation can be defined only after it is made free from fractional and radicals powers of dependent variable and the derivatives. So linear PDE is the any PD, a PDE is said to be linear if the dependent variable and z and its derivatives are of degree 1 and the products of z and its derivatives do not appear in that equation. So it is first degree equation. Clear? Linear means first degree PDE. So now we are restricting the degree also. First we have restricted the order. We have first order PDE. Now we are saying that it is linear PDE. That means the degree is also 1. So I hope you remember the definition of degree. So if it is first degree PDE, then it is linear PDE. And what is degree? The highest, the power of highest order derivative of the differential equation. And no product of dependent variable and derivatives is appearing in the equation. So no product is there, the maximum power of derivatives and dependent variable is 1, then it is linear PDE, first degree PDE. So the LPD, we are LPD, linear PDE, we are representing or we are writing it as LPDE, linear PDE, linear partial differential equation. So journal form of LPDE of first order. So अब हम क्या कह रहे हैं कि order is fixed and degree is fixed. It is first order partial differential equation. It is first degree partial differential equation. So first order means we have the derivatives of first order only. Means P and Q means del Z over del X, del Z over del Y. Next, it is linear also means first degree PDE. That means these are separate terms. Del Z over del X would be a separate term. Del Z over del Y would be a separate term, and Z would be a separate term. Why? Because in first degree differential equation, the dependent variable and the derivatives cannot be multiplied together. Otherwise, the degree would be more than 1. So Z term is separate term. Del Z over del Y is separate term. Del Z over del X is separate term. So, and also the power of Z is 1, del Z over del Y, the power is again 1, del Z over del X, again the power is 1. So it is first degree equation, and first order means it can include only first order derivative, del Z over del X, del Z over del Y, the first order derivative. So this is the general form of LPD of first order. So the coefficient, this is coefficient of del Z over del X, the coefficient of del Z over del Y, the coefficient of Z, and the right hand side remaining part. So these F1, F2, F3, F4 are the functions of X and Y only. It cannot include Z if it is linear PDE of first order. Okay. It cannot include Z because we consider Z in the degree term while calculating the degree. So if suppose it F1 contains the Z, that means we are multiplying Z with del Z over del X, means degree would be more than 1. So no coefficient in this equation can include Z in it. So this is general form of LPDE of first order. Now this is linear PDE of first order. We have another term, semi-linear PDE. Semi-linear PDE of first order means again the order is fixed. We cannot include more than first order derivatives. So we have again the del z over del y, del z over del x. But semi-linear, we have the flexibility that z, the dependent variable may be of any degree. In previous LPDE of first order, z can be a separate term with 1 degree because this is first degree equation. But now we have the flexibility that z can be of any degree. So now this would not be a first degree equation. Why? Because del z over del x is of first degree, no problem. Del z over del y is of first degree, no problem. But if z is in first degree, then it is linear, and if z is of higher degree term, means z square, z cube, anything is there, so it is not linear. So we say it semi-linear PDE of first order. Order is 1, but we are compromising with the degree of z. Still, the del z over del x, del z over del y, the first order derivatives are of first degree, are in 1 degree. But z may be of first degree, second degree, and third degree, and so on. Now the Cauchy linear, next term is Cauchy linear. So first is linear PDE of first order, second is semi-linear PDE of first order, and last is Cauchy linear PDE of first order. And what is that difference? Uh, uh, Till now, the coefficient of derivatives, the coefficient of del z over del x, del z over del y, in both of the above cases, it cannot include z as coefficient. The f1, f2 cannot include z as coefficient because the degree would be more than 1. But in Cauchy linear also, the z may be the coefficient of del z over del x or del z over del y. So this is the difference. Again, the right hand side may be any function of x, y, z. That means z may be of first degree, second degree, third degree. But also, what is the difference between semi-linear and Cauchy linear? In semi-linear, the coefficient of del z over del x, del z over del y, the first order derivative coefficient cannot include z. But in Cauchy linear, the coefficient of del z over del x, del z over del y, the first order derivatives, they may include z. So this is the difference. So our first topic is to solve these type of partial differential equation: linear, semi-linear, Cauchy linear. And to solve these three types of PDE, we have single method, that is Lagrange's method. So the method is known as Lagrange's method, and it is to solve first order linear or semi-linear or Cauchy linear PDE. So once we are given with the first order PDE, linear, semi-linear or Cauchy linear. So these three types of PDE can be solved by this method, Lagrange's method. And what is the method? The procedure is as follows. This is a step-by-step procedure to solve first order linear, semi-linear, Cauchy linear PDE. Step 1 in the process is to rewrite the given PDE in the standard form. This standard form is known as Lagrange's linear PDE. Means we know in any of these types, linear, semi-linear, Cauchy linear, we have del z over del x, del z over del y. We are compromising with the z degree, but not with the first order derivatives degree. In any of the three, see the linear, semi-linear, Cauchy-linear. All these three types of PDEs, we have the derivatives, the first order derivatives in single degree, in first degree. So these terms are separated. So small p means del z over del x, del z over del y. This is coefficient of p means del z over del x, coefficient of q means coefficient of del z over del y, and this is right hand side. So we are representing this by capital P, capital Q, and capital R. So if we have been given any of the PDE, linear, semi-linear, Cauchy-linear, we can make it in the standard form. This type of standard form, PP plus QQ is equal to R. So we have to rearrange the terms only. So we will arrange the terms in this form, which is known as Lagrange's linear PDE. And this is our first step. If it is already given in this form, then we'll directly move on the second step. Otherwise, we start from the first step. Next, second step is write the Lagrange's auxiliary equations. So this is our given PD is maybe in any of the form, but we'll make it to this form, Lagrange's form, standard form. Now, if this is once when the given equation is in this standard form, we have the capital P, capital Q, and capital R values. These are functions of x, y, z. These may be constant, may be functions of x, y, z. So now we have to write the Lagrange's auxiliary equations. And what are these Lagrange's auxiliary equations? This is dx over capital P is equal to dy over capital Q and dz over capital R. So this is Lagrange's auxiliary equations. These three equations, dx over capital P. So whatever capital P is, we will write over dx over P in the denominator of dx, and whatever is capital Q, we'll write as the denominator of dy, and capital R as the denominator of dz. So these are Lagrange's auxiliary equations. Now, what is the next step? Step 3. We have to find two independent solutions. These are three equations: dx over P, dy over Q, dz over R. Now, suppose now what is our next step? These two steps are very easy, step 1 and step 2, nothing to do with these two steps. The main step is step 3. What we need to do in the step 3, we have to find two independent solutions using these Lagrange's auxiliary equations. Means if we can get directly, suppose this fraction is equal to this fraction, so we can, if we can integrate these fraction directly, this is dx, so we can integrate with the x terms as p, means this is integration. Suppose if these two fractions are equal, means their integration is all integrations are also equal. So we integrate these two fractions to get our first solution. But this integration would not be easy, I tell you. If p contains the x term only, then dx over p can be integrated. If dy over q, if this q includes only y terms, then also it is easy to integrate. And of course the dz over r, again the r may be of anything, means in terms of x, y, z, but if it includes only z terms, then the integration is easy. So anyhow we have to use these auxiliary equation to get two independent integration, I would say. Instead of solution, I should say two integrations. So using these equations, these auxiliary equations, we have to get two integrations. Means suppose we are using these two fraction as equal, so we can integrate it and get one solution, one integration. Suppose we are using this equal to this, these two fractions and integration, then we can get second integration, or this fraction with this fraction to get the other integration. So we have three possibilities: the first two, second third, and first third. So we have three possibilities to get two solutions. So using any of any two possibilities out of these three possible cases, we can get two integrations. And suppose these two integrations are represented as u is equal to c1, v is equal to c2. Where c1 and c2 are the arbitrary constant. How we will get these arbitrary constants? Because if we are integrating, suppose we are using these two fractions, we are integrating it. So one arbitrary constant would be there, integration constant, and suppose that is c1. And suppose we are using these two fractions, and after integration we will get one integration constant, that is suppose c2. So we need to get two integration. Suppose one is c1 and second is c2, and all the other thing we will shift it on the other side. So u may be any function of x, y, z, v may be any function of x, y, z. These are independent functions. So these are values of c1 and c2. So this is our third step. I'll elaborate this step, particular step 3 later also. But what we need to remember this, that we need to calculate two integrations. If directly possible or indirectly, we have to use two integration to find the final solution. So suppose we have got two integration, u is equal to c1, v is equal to c2, using these three equations. Now how to write the final solution? So next step 4 is how to write general solution. So this is our first integration. These are two our integrations. U is equal to c1, v is equal to c2. So the general solution can be written in any of these three forms. Phi means arbitrary function of u, v is equal to 0, or arbitrary function of u is equal to v, or arbitrary function of v is equal to u. We can use any of these three forms of general solution. Again, I need to let you remember about one thing. In the concept 3, in the formulation of PDE, we had three cases. First, by eliminating the arbitrary constant. Second, by eliminating the arbitrary functions. And third was the particular form of the arbitrary functions. So if you remember, we were given this function in that topic, function of uv is equal to 0, and we have proved that this type of equation have the partial differential equation pp plus qq is equal to r. So we have proved that if this is the equation, this is the solution, any of these three forms, if this is our given solution, then the required PD would be of this type, the equation Lagrange's this type. So we have reverse case here. Now this is our first order PD, linear, Cauchy linear, semi-linear. So we are saying that this type of equation has this type of solution. PP plus QQ is equal to R has the solution as function of arbitrary function of UV is equal to 0, or function of U is equal to V, or function of V is equal to U. So what is important here to recognize the step 3, how to get two integrations. from the Lagrange's auxiliary equation. So some tips are written here for the step 3, how to get two solutions. So two independent solutions or integration can be obtained by either of the following cases. These are some cases. We can use uh, any of these cases to find out our two integration, to find out the final solution, general solution. So first case is simple, is very simple, when the direct integration is possible using the Lagrange's equation. This. So first case is, if out of these three fractions, if we can have two pairs which are directly integrable, so directly we will get two independent solutions. So first case is very easy, when by watching the auxiliary equation we can say that we can directly integrate these fractions. So in that case, solve any two pairs of auxiliary equation to get two solution. One is u is equal to c1, other integration is v is equal to c2. If it is possible, to directly we will integrate two pairs, but it is not always that we can get the solutions directly. We have to do something different to get two solutions. Second case, suppose one pair is possible, means one possibility is there for the direct integration. Means out of these fractions, suppose two fractions are of that type which are integrable directly, so we can get one solution from there. Suppose that one solution is u equals to c1. Now suppose we are now we have to find out another solution, another integration, and suppose the direct integration now is now not possible. Means we have used one pair which can give us the direct integration, but the second possibility is not there. Means second pair is not available for direct integration. So what we can do that we can use this first solution. Means once we have this solution, this integration u is equal to c1. So here from this solution we can get some values of x, y, z to substitute in the another possibility. So u is equal to c1 can be used to get another solution. This is again a possibility. You will get this clearly by using the examples, but here I want to clear that what are the different possibilities. These possibilities will be clear only after making the questions. So just listen carefully what I'm saying. Next, third step. Now if you remember in I think in 9th or 10th standard you have studied about the fractions properties. If you have a upon b is equal to c upon d is equal to, suppose, e upon f. So, and suppose this is a. So I assume that this you have been given these fractions properties in 9th or 10th standard. Suppose we have these fractions a over b is equal to c over d is equal to e over f. So we know each of these fractions is also equal to a plus c plus e over b plus d plus f. I hope you remember this. This is the property that if a over b is equal to c over d is equal to e over f, then a plus c plus e, each of these fraction is equal to the addition of numerators over addition of denominators, means a plus c plus e over b plus d plus f. And similarly these fractions are also equal to LA plus MC plus NE over LB plus MD plus NF. Means if we multiply this A by L B by L, L by, sorry, M, M by M, and again this fraction is multiplied by N, N over N. So now this is LA over LB, CM over DM, EN over FN. So again we have three fractions. So again these fractions are also equal to AL plus CM plus EN over BL plus DM plus FN. So with this, I assume that you remember the properties of fractions. So we are going to use these properties to get our integration using the auxiliary equation. So auxiliary equation means we have three fractions, dx over p, dy over q, dz over r. So we have these three fractions. Now we can use the property like dx plus dy plus dz is sorry, these fractions are also equal to dx plus dy plus dz over p plus q plus r. Same l dx plus m dy plus n dz over lp plus mq plus nr. So we are using that property. So next case is introduce Lagrange's multipliers, capital P, capital Q, capital R, means these are P1, Q1, R1. Suppose हम लोग PQR already use कर चुके हैं. So now we are using P1, Q1, R1 as multipliers. Means like I told in the example, LMN. LMN. So in that place, I am using now P1, Q1, R1. So these are, we say these coefficients or constant as Lagrange's multipliers. So P1, Q1, R1, which are functions of X, Y, Z or constant. Means we can multiply the constants, we can multiply the variables also. Means these P1, Q1, R1 may be the functions of XYZ or constant, but we have to select these P1, Q1, R1 such that each fraction is 2. This means we have to make this integrable. Means overall objective is to make the integration possible. Otherwise, if the integration is directly possible, we can get two solutions from case 1 or from the case 2. But if the direct integration is not possible, then we will go for the case 3. Means we will use the multipliers, and the multipliers mean in such a way that we can get the integration possible. We were unable to directly integrate the fractions, so now we are going to apply the multipliers to get the integrations. So we are choosing P1, Q1, R1 as the functions of XYZ or constants, such that this combination P1 dx plus Q1 dy plus R1 dz. Similarly, we multiply these coefficients to the denominators, P1P, Q1Q, R1R. Now we are using these multipliers as so that either the denominator is 0, because if we get the denominator is 0, we multiply those values to PQR such that the denominator is 0. So that because we are saying that this fraction is equal to each of the auxiliary equation, so if denominator is 0, so if we take any of the fraction is equal to this, then this denominator 0 will be multiplied by this. So we get P1 dx plus Q1 dy plus R1 dz is equal to 0. Now we have chosen P1, Q1, R1 as we can make this integration, which can be integrated because we need integration. That is our objective. So we are choosing P1, Q1, R1 such that the denominator is 0 and the numerator is integrable. That is our objective. Or one possibility is also there, last possibility. Suppose we are unable to make the denominator 0, but we can make P1, Q1, R1 such that the numerator is suppose we know that this dx over x can be integrated, dy over y can be integrated, dz over z can be integrated. So in the same way, this is total exact differential of x, dx is exact differential of x, so denominator is x. So similarly, if we take p1 q1 r1 such that this numerator is exact differential of this numerator. Are you getting this? Suppose like this, suppose d of xy bracket over xy, this can be integrated. What is the integration? D of xy over xy, because this differentiation integration sorry, this differentiation is with respect to xy and denominator is xy. So what is the different integration of dx over x? Log x simply. So similarly, d of xy over xy, the integration is log of xy. We can make xy is equal to, suppose, theta. So this is d theta over theta. So the integration would be log theta. So we have two possibilities using the multipliers. Either we can make the denominator 0, or we can make the numerator as the exact differentiation of denominator. So this is the case fourth. We may choose multiplier such that the numerator, which is this, is an exact differential of the denominator, this. So by making this numerator as the exact differential of numerator, we can get this integration. So these are four possibilities. So these are four possibilities to get two integrations. Now I repeat the process once again. What is the process to solve the first order linear, Cauchy linear, semi-linear PDE? First, we have to convert it in the standard form, which is known as Lagrange's linear PDE. Then we calculate Lagrange's auxiliary equation, equation 2. Then anyhow, we have to find out two integration from these three Lagrange's fractions, either by direct integration or substitution or by multipliers. So we get two integration from here, u is equal to c1, v is equal to c2. If we get two integration, then our final solution, general solution, would be function of uv is equal to 0, function of u is equal to v, or function of v is equal to u. We can write any of these three forms. So this is the proof how we are getting the solution of this type of equation. So if anybody is interested, he or she can go through this process. If he or she finds any doubt, any clarity, he can ask me or discuss with me or with the your class group students. So this is the proof of Lagrange's method, how we are getting the solution, function of uv is equal to 0. Now the questions, the whatever the process is, we can make it more clear by you solving the questions only. This is the only method to remember the process or to make the process easy, because the four cases were very complicated to understand without any examples. So now we are one by one we'll make the examples to make every case clear, how to get two solutions. So this is our first solution, first question. The question is solve the following partial differential equations. So you may notice here that you will not be asked to solve first order PDE or higher order PDE or first degree PDE. You will be simply asked that solve this PDE only, but you need to know what you need to recognize that which type of PDE is this, because we cannot solve every PDE by the Lagrange's method. Lagrange's method is available only to solve the first order PDE. So if this is first order PDE, then we can solve this using Lagrange's method. So, since we have studied only the first method, Lagrange's method, so we know that this question would be solved by the this method only. Otherwise, when uh, we will study other methods, then we need to recognize the question. The topic means first, this is first order or first degree, or higher order, higher degree. So next. Now the question is x square p plus y square q is equal to z square. Is it first order PD? Is it first order PD? Yes, it is first order PD. Why? Because it includes p and q. P is first order derivative, q is first order derivative. So this is first order PD, which can be solved by Lagrange's method. Now, what is this is linear PD of first order, so we can use Lagrange's method. And what is the step one? Step one is to make the given question in the standard form. And what is that standard form? Capital P plus P into small p plus capital Q into small q is equal to R. So this question is already in standard form, right? Because this is capital P into small p plus capital Q into small q, it and is equal to something. Whatever is left is on the right hand side. So this is already in standard form. So this equation is already given in the standard form. So first step is complete. Now what is capital P? Capital P is the coefficient of small p, which is x square. What is capital Q? Is the coefficient of small q, which is y square. And what is right hand side? This is capital R, and now this is z square. So we have capital P, capital Q, and capital R. Now step 2 is to make the Lagrange's auxiliary equation. So Lagrange's auxiliary equations are, we know these fractions dx over p is equal to dy over q is equal to dz over r. So we have to substitute p, q, r. So what is p? X square. What is q? Y square. And what is r? Z square. Now the important step 3, how to get two independent solutions, two independent integrations. Now we can observe from these fractions, because here we have x square means function of x alone over dx, and under dy we have the terms only with y. Again under dz we have the terms only with the z. So directly we can integrate. The problem will be there when we have, suppose xz over under the dx, we have y along with z or x under the dy. So we cannot integrate these fraction directly, because this is integration with respect to x. So everything as a coefficient must be of the function of x. Similarly, if we are integrating, because this is dy, so we can integrate the coefficient with respect to y only. So we cannot have the other variables here, means x or z. Similarly for dz, we can have the function of z only here to integrate it directly. So in this case, we are fortunate to have the same variable, means dx and x variable, y variable, z, dz with the z variable. So directly we can integrate these fractions. So we can take any pair. We are given with this flexibility that we can use any pair. So now we take suppose first two fractions. So dx over x square and dy over y square. Now we can integrate it. So on integration, 1 upon x square, integration of 1 upon x square with respect to x. What is the integration? Minus 1 over x. Same, what is the integration of 1 over y square with respect to y? Minus 1 over y. And this is the integrating constant. So this is C1 and we have to find out the C1 value. So what is C1? Everything we have to shift on the one side. So C1 value is equal to minus 1 by x plus 1 by 1 over y. So 1 over y minus 1 over x is equal to C1. This is our first solution. That is u is equal to C1. So what is u? Or u is 1 by 1 over y minus 1 over x. Similarly, if we take these two fractions, dy over y square, dz over z square, again the integration is possible. So again we take last two fractions, dy over y square, dz over z square. So we can integrate it directly. So on integration, 1 upon y square integration with respect to y. So what is the integration? Minus 1 over y. Next, integration of 1 by z square with respect to z. What is the integration? Minus 1 over z is plus 1 integrating constant. So what is C2? C2 is 1 over z. 1 minus 1 by z would go on that side. So it is positive 1 by z minus 1 over y. So this is our second solution, second integration. V is equal to C1, C2. What is V? V is 1 by z minus 1 by y. So the general solution, we know that we can write the general solution in any of these three forms. So phi is equal to uv is equal to, that means phi is equal to, this is our u, 1 by y, 1 over y minus 1 over x. So phi over 1, phi of 1 over y minus 1 upon x in comma v, v is 1 by z minus 1 over y is equal to 0. This is our general solution. Or we can write in this form also, phi u is equal to v, that means phi of 1 by y minus 1 by x is equal to 1 by z minus 1 by y. Or phi v is equal to u, that means phi of 1 by z minus 1 over y is equal to 1 over y minus 1 over x. So these are three possibilities of general solution. Any solution is our general solution. We can use any of these three forms. All are correct answers, all are correct general solutions. Now, what is to notice here, that we have three possibilities. This first comparison, second comparison, and the third comparison. This fraction is equal to this fraction. So this is also possible. Means one can use first, second, second, third, first, third, second, third. The choice is yours. You anyhow we have to find two integration. So student may get the fractions as their convenience. Whatever they find easy to get integration, they can use those fractions. So the answer would be, suppose the first we have taken these two fractions, first two fractions, second we have taken last two fractions, but instead of this we can take these two fractions also, dx over x square, dz over z square, because this is also integrable, directly integrable. So in that case we will get this dx over x square is equal to dz over z square. That means 1 over z minus 1 over x is equal to C2. So this is also a possibility, and this is that is also a correct answer. So this is not it is not like that we can use only first two or last two. We have three possibilities: first two, last two, or first and third. So by using any of three possibilities, we have to get two integrations. U is equal to C1, V is equal to C2. And with these two integration, we can write our general solution. So this is about the first case. when direct integration was possible. Next, see the next question. Xzp plus yzq is equal to xy. Now, I'm not writing the steps again and again because now you know what is a step 1, what is a step 2. So this question is already in the standard form, because the coefficient of this is capital P small p plus capital Q small p is equal to capital R. So this is already in standard form. So capital P is xz, the coefficient of small p, capital Q is coefficient of small q yz, and what is R, the right hand side xy. So next step is Lagrange's auxiliary equations. Dx over p means xz, dy over q means yz, and dz over r means xy. Now, what is our objective? We need to get two independent solutions. Two independent solutions. You observe these fractions now. Uh, if we can integrate directly, we will definitely go for direct integration. Now, dx over xz is equal to dy over dz, because under dx we have both variable xz, so we cannot integrate it. Same dy over yz, this z is problem, we cannot integrate yz with respect to y. Similarly, this is dz, and under which we have xy variables, so this is also not integrable directly. But if we take these two fractions, here z is problem in the first fraction because dx over x is okay, but this z is problem. This z cannot be integrated under dx. Same here also we have z problem because it cannot be integrated under the dy. So what we can do, suppose we have taken these fraction dx over xz, dy over yz. Now we know these two fractions are equal, so we can cancel out these z's. This z will be cancelled by this z, so the fraction would become dx over x, dy over y. Now this is integrable. Clear? Initially z was the problem, but we know that these two fractions are equal, and after making these fractions equal we can cancel out the z, so the problem will be out. So now the fraction would become dx over x, dy over y, and now we can make the integration easily. So on integration, the integration of dx over x log x, the integration of dy over y is log y, and plus integrating constant. So we can write c1 or sine c1, because this is arbitrary constant. We can write any function of arbitrary constant. So we are making it log c1y because log property, we are going to use the log property. Otherwise, no problem, you can use direct c1. So log x is, we have to find out the value of c1 now, because that is our first independent solution. U is equal to c1. So this is log x minus log y is equal to log c1. So log of x over y is equal to log so this is log over xy, x over y is equal to log c1. So after taking the anti-log, x over y would be equal to c1. So this is our first integration. X over y is equal to c1. So u is equal to c1 is our first integration. Now we have to get the second integration. Now second integration, if we take, now we have two possibilities left. We have overall we have three possibilities. One possibility we have used to get one solution. Now to get the second solution, we explore the other exist two possibilities. The first possibility is taking the first fraction with the third fraction, dx over xz is equal to dz over xy. So the x would be cancelled out, so it will become dx over z is equal to dz over y. Now again, the what is the problem? Problem is to how to integrate this. This z is not the problem because this z can go on this side, so z dz is not the problem, but problem is this y, because this y cannot be integrated with dx or with dz. These are integration with respect to x or z, so y cannot be there. So this y is the problem, so this can't be integrated. Similarly, if we take second and third, so y would be cancelled. This will be dy over z, dz over dx, dz over x. Again, this z is not the problem because this can go on this side. So z dz can be integrated, but this, what about this x? Is this x cannot be integrated with dy or dz. So again, we have the problem. We cannot go for the direct integration. So we have written here, these cannot be integrated directly. So how to solve this problem? Now case 2. Case 2 says if the direct integration is not possible, two direct integrations are not possible. So what we do? We do if one integration is possible, we get that integration, and we can use this integration to get the second solution, second integration. Because in the first solution, what is we have? We have x over y is equal to c1, so we can calculate the value of x in terms of y, or the value of y in terms of x. What is x here? Y c1. What is y here? X over c1. So we can use this solution to get our second solution, because what was the problem with these two fractions? This y, because this y cannot be integrated with x or z. But if we change this y using this transformation, y is equal to x over c1, so this would become x value, and this x value can be integrated with this dx, so problem will be resolved. Similarly, if we take these two fractions, so what was the problem? This x was the problem. If we replace this x by this x value is yc1, so this would become yc1, and yc1 will go on this side, z on that side, so these can be integrated easily. So this is our second case, how to get second solution using first solution if possible. So but from first solution, we have x over y is equal to c1, that means x is equal to y c1, and or y is equal to x over c1. We can use any of the transformation. So x dx over z, we have used this combination, dx over z is equal to dz over y. Now this is with respect to x, this is with respect to z, so we have to eliminate the y. So by using this value y is equal to x over c1, we substitute this for the y, x over c1. Now this x1 we have shifted to this side by cross multiplication, this is x dx, and this z to that side, z dz, and this is c1 under the denominator 1 over c1, so c1 would be multiplied in the numerator, so this is c1z. Or we can take this c1 on this side also, there is no problem. So now this is integrable. We can see that x dx is equal to c1 z dz, so these are integrable. So on integration, x dx, what is the integration with respect to x? X square by 2. Same z dz, that means integration is z square by 2 plus one integrating constant. One integrating constant may be c2. I have written this c2 as c2 by 2 because here we have divided by 2, we divided by, so we can cancel out 2. Otherwise there is no problem in writing C2 only. You can write C2 only, 2C2, 1 by 2C2 minus 10C2, because this is arbitrary constant. So we can multiply or divide anything other than 0. So we have written integrating constant as C2 by 2. Now, just to simplify that, again we have to find out the value of C2. This 2 will be cancelled out by these 2. So this would be x square is equal to C1 z square plus C2. Now, we cannot write directly C2 is equal to x square minus C1 z square, because if you remember, we need to get two independent solution. U is equal to C1, V is equal to C2, and U and V are functions of x, y, z, not constants. So if we write this like this, C2 is equal to x square minus C1 z square. So this is C2 value. So we cannot use this as V, because V is the function of x, y, z only, not any, it cannot contain, it cannot include any arbitrary constant. So we have to back substitute the value of C1. So this is C1, and what is C1? C1 is equal to, from here C1 is equal to x over y. So back substitute this value C1 x over y. Now this is our V, second integration. So this is after taking LCM. This is x square y minus xz square over y is equal to C2, and this is our second integration, V is equal to C2. So we have two integration, x over y. This is our first solution, x over y is equal to C1, and this is our second solution. So we can write the solution as function of u, yani x over y, and second solution x square y minus xz over y is equal to 0. Again, because I have told you that we can use any of the fraction, because here we can replace y in terms of x, and here we can replace x in terms of y. So another possibility is also there. So we have simply written that if we use other fractions, other combination, dy over z, dz over x. In this case, we have dy and dz, so we have to replace this x, because this cannot be integrated with this, with y or z. So we have substituted this, the value of x, as yc1, dy over z, dz over yc1. Then yc1 is on that side, cross multiplication, z dz. On integration we get this. Again we find out the value of C2 by keeping everything on the other side. Again we have substituted the value of C1, because the arbitrary constant cannot be included in the u value or v value. So we have back substituted the value of C1. So this is our C2, or V is equal to C2. So this is our V. So in case of this, this is also a possible solution, also possible integration. So this is our U, x over y, and V may be this or this. So both are correct answer. We can use any of the possibility. So that was about case 2, where we use one solution, one integration to get the other solution, other integration. Again, now you have need to get the practice only. Now this is third question, y square p minus xyq is equal to xz minus 2y. Again, the question is already in the standard form. So directly we get capital P, capital Q, capital R. Next, Lagrange's auxiliary equation. So dx over P, which is y square, dy over Q, which is minus xy, dz over capital R, which is xz minus 2y. So one integration is directly we can see that if we take these two fraction, first and second, then dx over y square, dy over minus xy. This because we have dx dy, so all terms are in terms of xy, so we can integrate. This x can go this side, this y square can go this side, so we can integrate directly. So by taking first two fraction dx over y square, dy over minus xy, so one y would be cancelled. So this would be dx over y, dy over minus x would be multiplied to the dx and y would be multiplied to the dy. So now this is direct integrable. So on integration, this would be minus x square by 2, y square by 2 and one arbitrary constant. I have taken with minus sign, you can take it with positive sign also. I have taken C1 by 2, you can take it as C1 alone. I have taken by divided by 2 because to simplify the equation only, otherwise no objective is there. So we have to find out the value of C1. So just by simplifying this, we will get this C1 is equal to x square plus y square. So this is our first integration. First solution u is equal to C1. Now about second. So again the k. Now what is the possibility? So we have now two possibilities left. One first with third and second with third. If we take first with third, then what would be the problem? This is dx over y square and dz over x dz minus 2y. So we have integration with respect to x, with respect to z, but uh, under the with the denominator we have all three terms x z 2y means y and this y square, and this y square cannot be cancelled by this term. So this would not be the possibility to get the second integration. One thing we can do that this y square can be replaced by c1 minus x square, but again uh, what would be the problem? That y square can be replaced by c1 minus x square and this x can go on this side, but what about this y? Because this is dz over z minus 2y, so this y cannot go on this side. This y cannot go on this side, and also this y cannot be integrated with dx because y square is this, so y would be square root of c1 minus x. So z minus something cannot go, this x term cannot go on this side because this is not in multiplication, but this is the addition or subtraction. So the integration would not be possible. But if we take these two terms, we can get the integration. How? Because the x would be cancelled by this x. Now dy over y is equal to dz over z minus 2y. So y and z terms are there. So so we have written these two fractions. We have used these fractions. We cancelled out x. So this is the these fractions become of this type. Now to make the integration possible, we can do one thing. This is, I think, the easier part. I have written as or part, but this is more easy. This is dy over minus y dz over z minus 2y. Now we have cross multiplied it. So by cross multiplication, z dy minus 2y dy is equal to minus y dz. So this is after cross multiplication. Now this this term has no problem in integration because this is 2y dy. So integration with respect to y of 2y is very much easy and possible. But this is z into dy and this is y dz. So we have to adjust these two terms. So I have taken this on the left hand side, so this becomes with plus sign. Now these two terms we have written with each other and other term with separation. So now this, if we know the exact differentiation of dyz, what is the exact differential of this yz? This would be y into dz plus z into dy. So these two terms are not integrable separately, independently, but these two terms are not directly integrable. But if we have written these two terms like this and this is z dy plus y dz, and this we can write as d of yz. So now this is integrable because this is exact differential of yz. So the integration of this term would be yz. Like the integration of dx is x, similar way dy of yz, the integration would be yz. And second term 2y dy, the integration is y square by 2, and 2 would be cancelled by a denominator 2. So this is yz minus y square is equal to, this is integrating constant c2. So c2 would be zy minus y square. So this is our second solution. The first solution is this, x square plus y square is equal to c1. Second is this. So we can write our solution as x square plus y square, function of x square plus y square, zy minus y square is equal to 0. And this is another possibilities how to integrate this. We have taken these fractions. Now we have taken dy over here and this z minus 2y here. So this is dz over dy is equal to z minus 2y over minus y. We can write it as dz over y is equal to minus z over y plus 2. And now we have shifted this term on the left hand side, so this becomes dz over dy plus z over y is equal to 2. If you remember the first order, first degree differential equation solution, this is linear first order differential equation. So of this form, dy over dx plus py is equal to q. So we can get the solution from here also. And how to solve this linear differential equation of first order? This is linear equation. So first we have to find out the integrating factor, which is e to the power integration capital P, the independent variable. Here z is dependent variable, y is independent variable. So this is linear in z and y. So e to the power 1, this part into dy. So what is the integration? Log y, and e to the power log y is equal to y. So this is integrating factor. Now the solution of this equation, this linear equation, is, we know, dependent variable into integrating factor. So z into integrating factor is equal to integration, the right hand side means 2 into integrating factor dy plus integrating constant c2. So integrating factor is y, so this is 2y, and integration, this is y square. So we get the same solution, zy minus y square is equal to c2. So we can use this form or solution also. Anyhow, there is no restriction how to solve, how to get second solution. We can use any of the possibility. Our objective is simply to get to independent solution. U is equal to C1, B is equal to C2. So this is our solution, general solution. Now another question. This is simple equation. You can, here we will get direct integration, because this is dx over yz, dy over zx, dz over xy. So by taking any of two fractions, we can get a direct integration. So you can go through this question. This is very easy question. Now the case which is left is the use of multipliers. How to use multipliers if we are unable to get the direct integration or substitution. So this is that case. This is the question which is already in standard form. So, so this is question: x square y minus z p plus y square z minus x q is equal to z square x minus y. This equation is already this equation is already in the standard form, Lagrange's form. So directly we get, this is capital P, this is capital Q, and this is capital R. So these are Lagrange's auxiliary equation: dx over P, dy over Q, dy over R. Now in this case, direct integration is not possible. You can observe, because under the dx we have x square y z, dy over y square zx, z dz over z square x minus y. So if we take any two fractions, the integration is not possible. If we take these two, then again nothing can be cancelled out, and in fact it involves each variable, each of three variables, x y z, x y z. So direct integration is not possible by taking any of the possibilities, any of the two fractions. So in this case, we have to go for the multipliers. Otherwise, we don't have any option to get the solution. So we use, now in this case, we need to go for the multipliers. We have to use the multipliers. Now, what was the rule of multipliers? We use the multiplier in such a way that either it can make the denominator zero, or the exact differentiation of the denominator. There are two possibilities. So here and the in multipliers are not fixed. It varies with the questions. So different question have different multipliers. So there is no rule of thumb that you can remember these multipliers. It totally depends on the question, that which multipliers will make the integration possible. So it will come only by the practice. You practice the questions with the multipliers, different multipliers. That is the only possibility we have. So I cannot give you any rule that in this case use these multipliers or that multipliers. So only solution is to practice more questions. So in this case, I have used the multipliers 1 over x square, 1 over y square, 1 over z square. So we can observe from here that if we multiply 1 over x square, this x square would be cancelled. We multiply here 1 over y square multiplied, then y square will be cancelled. Again 1 over z square, so z square would be cancelled out. So what will remain in the denominators? Y minus z, z minus x, and x minus y. And if we add these three terms, so everything will be cancelled: minus z plus z, minus x plus y minus y. So we have used the multipliers 1 over x square, 1 over y square, 1 over z square, so that we have multiplied here 1 over x square, 1 over x square. So 1 over x square dx divided by x square y minus z over x square. Similarly, in the second fraction, we have used 1 over y square. In the denominator also 1 over y square. In the same way, 1 over z square in the numerator of third fraction and in the denominator of the third fraction. So, and plus sign. So this is the multiplier method we discussed, I think, more in the starting of this topic, how to select the multipliers. So in this case, we have used these multipliers. So numerator 1 by x square, denominator 1 by x square, 1 by y square, 1 by y square, 1 over z square, 1 over z square. So that these x square would be cancelled, y square would be cancelled, z square would be cancelled. Now what is left? Y minus z in the denominator, z minus x, x minus y. Again, minus z plus z cancelled, y minus y cancelled, minus x plus x cancelled. So everything gets cancelled. So we have dx over x square plus dy over y square plus dz over z square divided by 0. And this combination, we know this is equal to each of the fractions in the auxiliary equations, means these three. So these three fractions are equal to this combination, means this fraction. So by making it any of the, by making this equal to any of these fractions, so dx, suppose first fraction, so this 0 will be, would be cross multiplied by this fraction. So we get dx over x square plus dy over y square plus dz over z square is equal to 0, which can be integrated directly now. So after integration, 1 over x square integration minus 1 over x minus 1 over y minus 1 over z is equal to C1. I have written this as minus C1 because minus is common here on the left hand side. So this is 1 by x plus 1 by y plus 1 by z is equal to C1. This is our first solution. Again, this solution would not help us to find the second solution because the fractions are of these types. The fraction of are of the types where we cannot get the help of first solution. So we can use another multipliers. So now we have used the multipliers 1 over x, 1 over y, 1 over z. In a similar way, again, each fraction in the auxiliary equations is equal to 1 by x dx over x square y minus z over x. 1 by y dy, similar way, the denominator y square z minus x 1 over y. And in the third fraction 1 over z, we have multiplied 1 over z to the numerator and to the denominator z square x minus y over 1 by z. So if we simplify the denominator, the x square means square would be cancelled by this x, square would be cancelled by this y, and square of this z would be cancelled by this z. So we get x, y minus z, y, z minus x, z, x minus y. Again, this combination is 0. xy minus xz, yz minus xy, zx minus zy. So three positive terms, three negative terms, same terms. So denominator would be 0. So again, by making this fraction equals to any of the three fractions in the auxiliary equation, the 0 would multiply it here. So dx over x, dy over y plus dz over z is equal to 0. So on integration, this is dx over x integration log x. This is second term log y, and dz over z is log z. And we have taken the integrating constant log c2. So after applying the log properties, log of x, y, z is equal to log of c2. So c2 would be equal to x, y, z. So this is our second solution. So first solution is 1 over x plus 1 over y plus 1 over z is equal to c1. Second solution is x, y, z is equal to c2. So the general solution is phi of 1 over x plus 1 over y plus 1 over z, x, y, z is equal to 0. Now different, I have explained you each and every case. First case is when direct integration is there. Second case when we can use the first solution to get the second integration. Third case, we can use multipliers to make, we use the multiplier such that either the denominator is 0 or the numerator is direct, the exact differentiation of the denominator. So in this case also, we can use, we have taken, this is already in standard form. These two fraction would give us the first integration which is possible by direct integration. Means not direct integration, x would be cancelled and this is y plus z, y minus z, and by the cross multiplication this would be like this. So this z dz is integrable, y dy is integrable, and this is z dy plus y dz. We can write it as d of yz, exact differentiation of yz. So by making the integration now, this is y square by y square by 2, this is yz, and this is z square by 2 is equal to c1. So we get the value of first integration. Now to get the second solution, not any possibilities left, means direct integration is not possible, and also the substitution will not allow us to get the second solution, second integration. So we have used the multipliers here. Now in this case we have used multipliers x, y, z. Again, there is no rule of thumb that which multipliers we have to use. The objective is simple. We have to use those multipliers which make either the denominator 0 or the numerator is exact differentiation of the denominator. This is the objective. Now you have to try all the multipliers. You have to think of each and every multipliers. So in this case, by using the multipliers x, y, z, we get this denominator, and this denominator after simplifying we get 0. So direct, so integration is possible, x dx plus y dy z dz. This will give us the second solution. Here also these two fraction will give us the first integration, because direct integration is possible, because this x would be cancelled by this x, so dy over 2y dz over 2z. So direct integration is possible. So first will give us the direct integration. Second possibility is not there to get the second integration, so we have used multipliers in that case. Now using the multipliers x, y, z, what we get, x dx y dy plus z dz over, these are denominators of each fractions. First is multiplied by x, second is multiplied by y, third is multiplied by z. Now after simplifying this, we are getting this, and again by simply, because this is y square minus 2y square, so we are getting minus y square. Z square minus 2z square means minus z square and minus x square. So minus x square minus y square minus z square. So minus is common. So under the bracket we what is left, x square plus y square plus z square. Now again, this is not integration in this position, because this x is the problem. Otherwise, if this x is not there, this is x dx plus y dy z dz, and denominator is x square plus y square plus z square. So by multiplying 2 by 2, so this is 2x dx, 2y dy, 2z dz. So we can make it direct exact differentiation of x square plus y square plus z square. So this is not the problem. Problem is this x. But we know this fraction is equal to each of the fractions in auxiliary equation. And in auxiliary equation, we have dy over 2xy. So if we take this fraction to this fraction, we take this fraction equals to this fraction, so this x would be cancelled and we get dy over 2y. So this is integrable, and this is also integrable. So we have taken dy over, because this is equal, this fraction is equal to each of the fraction. So we have taken the second fraction, dy over minus 2xy. अभी तक के केसेस में क्या हुआ, the multipliers we have used, those made the denominator 0, so we can get the integration. We can take this fraction equal to any of the fraction, because ultimately this denominator 0 would make this 0, but in this case denominator is not 0, so we cannot take any of the fraction. We have to take that fraction only which can make this integrable. So we have taken the second fraction, dy over minus 2xy is equal to this. Now this x would be cancelled by this x. So we get dy over 2y is equal to x dx y dz by dy plus z dz over x square plus y square plus z square. So this 2 we have multiplied here. So this is 2x dx, 2y dy, 2z dz over x square plus y square plus z square. And this 2x dx, 2y dy plus 2z dz is the exact differential of x square plus y square plus z square. So this is exact differentiation of x square plus y square plus z square and over the x square plus y square plus z square. So now we can integrate it directly. So dy over y, integration is log y, and this is again d of something divided by something. This is like dx over x. So what would be the integration? Log of denominator. So log of x square plus y square plus z square plus one integrating constant, which is log c2. Now by logarithm properties, y over x square plus y square plus z square is equal to c2. So this is our second solution. So what is our general solution? General solution is phi of first solution, which is y over z is equal to c1, and comma second solution. Second solution is y over x square plus y square plus z square is equal to 0. So this is our second solution. So now you can practice it. You have a lot of questions here. The solved and unsolved both type of questions are here. So you go through these questions. If you find any difficulty to understand the topic, to understand the concept, or anything in between solving any question, trying any question, so you put your questions or queries on the WhatsApp group. If any of your colleague can help us, or ultimately if nobody is able to help that, nobody is able to get the solution of that problem, so we'll discuss on the separate platform. So for the doubt clearing session, I'm thinking to take one live lecture, so that we can discuss your problems, your not understanding. If you don't understand any topic, any concept, so if you have any doubt, we can solve it there. So these are the more questions. So this is solution. Whatever we are doing, our objective is to get to independent solutions, either by using multipliers or by integration, by direct integration, or using first solution to get the second solution. So these are different possibilities. So these are some more questions, practice question set, where we have the answers for each question. So you try to solve these questions. If you find any difficulty, you can ask me or your colleague. So the topic was to find out the solution of first order PDE. So if any PDE partial differential equation which is of first order, whether it is linear, Cauchy linear or semi-linear, we can use the Lagrange's method to solve it. If it is not of first order, then we have different methods, which we will discuss in the coming lectures.